You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Back in the studio.
Back. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Birthday,
And
anniversary, Memorial Day. Maycember.
Happy Maycember. Yes, it's
I
been.
have no idea what day it is.
It is Wednesday. First day back in the studio, though, after some time off. So
5 days.
Feels like Monday, I'm sure. Well,
Yeah,
glad to have
or
you
something.
back. Two good things on deck today. The Carillon concert series at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis is in June, so we're going to share about that. We get to actually visit with one of the Carillonneurs today as well, and I hope I said that correctly.
Sure.
We'll find out.
Sounded good to me.
Talk about, and over the last the last week, even the last 48 hours,
Yeah.
just horrible storms ripping through the Midwest. Here in Missouri, some significant damage and even some fatalities as well. So we'll talk with in the second half. Yesterday, I had the chance to catch up with Kent Kunkel. He's the disaster response coordinator for the Missouri district of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. So he has an invitation out for helping hands this weekend in Jeff City. We'll talk about that coming up in the second segment. More storms yesterday, or in the last 48 hours in Ohio, and then Kansas City last night. Kansas and Kansas City, last night as well. So
The damage is just incredible.
so many places. The storms are. It's just a rough storm season. So
We're nearing a record of consecutive days above a certain number. I don't remember the numbers, but we're almost record-breaking right now.
prayers and ascend for those, and also for those who are affected by flooding as well, all over
Arkansas.
the Midwest. Yeah,
My in-laws are dealing with that right now.
Iowa as well. A lot of the farmers in Iowa and northern Missouri as well.
Yeah.
Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. Find out more about them at cuw.edu. Joining us today, Carl Keldermans. He's a Carillonneur from Springfield, Illinois, and one of the featured Carillonneurs at Concordia Seminary this summer. Carl, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, and I, too, have no idea what day today is. I thought it was Monday.
Feels like Monday.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
Every day we try to figure out what day it is here.
It's true.
It is. It's a day that the Lord has blessed us,
It
so
ends
we're
in
thankful
Y.
for that. It ends in Y. So it starts with Y. The Reverend Dr. Kent Burrison, Dean of Chapel at Concordia Seminary. Dr. Burrison, thanks for being our guest this morning in the Coffee Hour.
My pleasure.
Carl, let's talk about your history as a Carillonneur. First of all, am I pronouncing that correctly? Is it Carillonneur?
You know, the way I used to teach thousands of school kids how to pronounce that word is, I'd start with something they understood, like trumpet. And I'd say, when you play the trumpet, what are you called? And usually I had to answer that, trumpeter. And then I would say, when you play the drums, what are you called? Well, 3/4 of them were on board by then. Oh, you're a drummer. And then when you play the carillon, what are you called? You're called a carillonneur. So you said it exactly right. You can pass out of third grade now.
Yes.
Excellent.
Gold
Excellent.
stars.
So how did you become interested in the carillon?
Well, I've been a musician all my life. I started playing a musical instrument when I was 4 and graduated up and kept getting to bigger and bigger instruments. Piano was the last keyboard instrument that I played before jumping to the carillon. And I always say, when you play the carillon, everybody has to listen to you.
That is true. That's quite a size jump from the piano to the carillon. So.
Well, it is and it isn't. They are both keyboard instruments that are touch sensitive. So if you visualize a piano, and most people can kind of know what the inside of the piano looks like or can visualize this, it's a long key, frequently 30 or 40 inches long. You're only seeing the last few inches. And when you depress that key, at the other end is a hammer that moves up and comes in contact with strings. They vibrate, and that's how you get sound. If you would turn that on its side, you have the carillon keyboard that is connected to a rod that goes up to the inside of the bell where the striker or the clapper is, and it strikes the bell and you get sound. So there's very little movement in terms of a mechanical action to get a sound out of the carillon bell.
So how is the carillon played?
Well, as I mentioned, it's a keyboard instrument, so you can use your fingers to depress the keys, and there's also a pedal board that allows you to move pedals that correspond to the left-hand side of the carillon keyboard. And so it's a mechanical action, meaning that the amount of energy you put into moving the key determines on how loud the sound is.
So
that make sense? I'm trying to paint you a visual picture.
And that's great. I'm just imagining what strength this requires then.
Not as much as you would imagine. I've had lots and lots and lots of female students, and the whole point of playing any instrument is not so much strength, but a little bit of agility. And I'm always teaching people to relax. Just like singers, if they tighten up and the throat gets real tight and they're taking little bitty breaths, you can't really get a good sound out. And the same is true of any musical instrument. So learning to relax, keeping the wrist loose, keeping the arms loose makes a big difference on how easy it is or how difficult it is to play the carillon. Having said that, there are some instruments that are heavier just because the bells are bigger, and then correspondingly the striker inside is bigger. So there is a little bit more weight involved.
Dr. Burson, how has the Carillon been a part of the Concordia Seminary community for years? I was reading a little of the history. This goes back to, I think, 1971 was the first time it was played?
I believe that's correct. It was the tower was when the original campus was built in the 1920s. The plan was to build the tower that you now see, but the funds were not available at the time in the 20s to do that. And so in the 1960s, they organized a campaign in the Synod to build the tower and to include a carillon within the tower. And that was done in the 1960s. And so then the first time it was played was, I think it was dedicated in 1970, something like that. So it's been a part of our campus life since the 1970s.
Tell us about the tradition of these carillon concerts at the seminary and how people enjoy them.
Yeah, so Carl might know how long they've been going on. I don't know exactly how long we've been doing the concerts, but for some time. And we have right now 4 concerts on the 4 Tuesdays of June. We're hoping to expand that next year and actually offer an additional concert and maybe a Christmas concert. But right now we have 4 concerts. And they last about an hour and 10 minutes, somewhere in that range. And people can come to the seminary campus and camp out sort of anywhere. But a lot of people will bring lawn chairs along, that kind of thing, and position themselves in the main quad. And you can bring along a picnic dinner, that kind of thing, and enjoy the sounds of the carillon for the concert. We usually get about 180 to 100, somewhere in that range, people come on a Tuesday evening for a relaxing concert.
Sounds just delightful. A nice way to end the day as well. A beautiful campus, enjoying beautiful music. Now, Sarah, before the program, you mentioned you have been to.
Yeah, we went to one. I believe it was last year. We biked over, of course, with our blanket and our dinner. So it was nice to just kind of hang out with friends.
Were you one of those people who showed up with a bottle of wine as well?
I'm not sure.
Why not a bike?
That's happened before.
I shouldn't say lots. There are many people who come and eat during the concert, but then there are some people that also come with some wine and have a tablecloth and nice wine glasses and really make it an event. And if I could just add about when the summer concerts started, have we got time for that?
Sure.
In 1977, I was contacted by a gentleman named Dr. Wayne Schmidt, who taught Greek and can't help me out here. Well, did he teach Latin as well?
Well, he did. He taught practical theology, taught worship, and in that area.
Okay, and he also played the organ for some of the services, and he, by kind of default, started taking over the carillon, and he was taught the carillon when he was up in Madison, Wisconsin, by a guy named John Harvey. More information than you need. But Wayne contacted me and said, would you be willing to send some of the people that you have for your festival so they could play in our series? And so I started working with him, and every summer we would coordinate until the year 2000, when he abruptly died of a heart attack. And since 2000, I have been taking care of really all of the big events at the seminary, like Call Day and Commencement, and then I organize and play in the Carillon Festival. So I don't go back to the very beginning, but close.
What are some of the pieces? Now, you're playing twice this summer, is that correct? Twice in June?
Mm-hmm.
What are do you know what pieces you plan to play? We have just about a minute left.
Okay, I like to just like when you go to a guitar recital, listening to original guitar music really is the best. I mean, there are some transcriptions. I like to play original Carillon music, but really well-written music. So I play a big variety of music. I will occasionally play, an arrangement of a folk song so that people can also follow that. But I get a huge response from people saying they just love the sound. They don't necessarily say, I know the music, but they love the sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very relaxing. Dr. Burson, just under a minute left. More details. This is Tuesday evenings in June, correct?
Correct. Tuesday evenings in June starting at 7 p.m.
At Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. And this is a free event for families to come and enjoy, correct?
That's correct. Completely free.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun on Tuesday evenings. Thank you so much for being our guest today, the Reverend Dr. Kent Burrison, Dean of Chapel at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. Thanks so much, Dr. Burrison.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And Carl Keldemans, Carillonneur from Springfield, Illinois, also one of the Carillonneurs in the concerts this summer at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. Carl, thank you so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour.
You're welcome. Great talking to you, too.
Well, that sounds like just delightful, like a nice, calm way to a relaxing concert to enjoy in the evenings at Concordia Seminary. That's starting next week, right? June is next week.
Yeah, June is next week. June is Saturday.
So it's coming up next week.
So.
We are preparing for Vacation Bible School in our household.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
you
next
really
week.
have
So
no idea what's happening.
I don't know. There are things that happen after it, apparently. Coming up in just a little bit, had a chance yesterday to talk with Kent Kunkel, his Director of Disaster Response, or Coordinator of Disaster Response for the LCMS Missouri District. So we'll catch up with him on the needs for responding to the tornadoes here in Missouri. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.